Live from downtown Vancouver at the Vancouver Film School campus, it's time for EP Live. Hey, welcome to Friday night. Yes, there has been a little bit of a party here at the VFS Cafe, a recent graduation celebration. So congratulations to everybody here that is graduating from something tonight. That's super cool. And that's something that we have to kind of deal with as we share the space here at the VFS Cafe, so sometimes we get bumped around a little bit as we try to accommodate all of the cool things that happen here at the VFS Cafe at 390 West Hastings. But one of those things is this show right here. You are tuned into EP Live. It happens Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, usually at 4:30 p.m. Pacific. And we are very excited to have everybody with us, and thank you for sticking around and waiting a little bit longer for today's episode. I promise that you are going to be very satisfied with today's show. We've got great guests on the program, actually associated with VFS. We've got the team called Egg in a Bag, which I'll ask them about. They've got their game called F.R.O.G, and they're going to tell us all about it. These are VFS students that graduated, and they're going to be up on stage playing the game and talking to us about it. And we're going to dive in and find out how you can transition from being a student to being a professional video game maker, which is a really cool story. But first, we have a rundown to get to, and this one is going out to MT, who says, I can't read this, Blake. He's just too nice. He calls me a legend. It's so, okay. Thank you, MT. You're very nice. You get a rundown today. All right, like the games, it sounds like the new Mortal Kombat movie isn't going to be for the squeamish. The new big screen adaptation of the notoriously violent fighting game franchise will be rated R. That's according to the film's screenwriter, Greg Russo, who says they're making it with an R rating in mind, so there will be plenty of fatalities depicted on screen. This means the new movie will be much more violent than the PG-13 film adaptations from the 90s, although it seems doubtful that even with an R rating, it will be enough for some of the more brutal fatalities from the recent games. Big-budget films tend to avoid R ratings because it means fewer people can see it, although R-rated movies have seen a resurgence thanks to successful films like Deadpool. The new Mortal Kombat movie hits the screens in 2021, and I think if the filmmakers are looking at Deadpool as their raison d'etre, as the way that they're going to kind of put this film together, that's exactly the right move, because as grotesque as the fatalities can be in Mortal Kombat, they're also usually quite funny, and they put a smile on your face even though you're doing a lot of, oh my God, I can't believe what I'm seeing. So, you know, the filmmakers can go pretty crazy with this. Deadpool is incredibly violent. Deadpool was shooting 3 people through the head with 1 bullet. And then you could see through that hole. It was crazy. All right, the Switch Lite isn't the only new version of the system on the way. Alongside the announcement of the cheaper Switch Lite earlier this week, Nintendo is also quietly updating the existing version of the console. According to a filing with the United States FCC, new versions of the regular Switch that are currently in production will have new, longer-lasting batteries, more storage, and a new CPU for faster loading times. Since Nintendo hasn't made a big fuss about this manufacturing update, don't expect these new models to be noticeably different. A much more improved Switch Pro is also rumored to be in the works. I think they're going to call it Switch Advanced, which will hopefully have bigger changes, although there's no word on when that might be announced. Now, none of this stuff is confirmed or official. They haven't made an announcement. These are some speculations about what some of the changes might be, but they have asked for the FCC changes to the existing Switch model. So I think what you want to do, if you haven't got a Switch yet, definitely do that comparison shopping between what you want out of the Switch Lite or the regular Switch, and then also dive deep into the serial numbers and the correct model numbers and stuff to make sure that you get the Switch that you want out of the current existing Switch, because they're going to try to, you know, sell all of the Switches that are in inventory right now before they start quietly putting in the revamped Switch onto store shelves. We've seen this happen time and time again. It's not just Nintendo that has done stuff like this. Sony and Microsoft, everybody's done this. As electronics come down in price and the chips get a little bit cheaper and the technology gets better, changes get made, you know, and usually it's to the benefit of consumers. All right, the makers of Alien Isolation have a mysterious new project in gestation. Alien Isolation and Total War developer, the Creative Assembly, is apparently working on a new first-person sci-fi game. They posted a job listing for developers to work on a new first-person game in a futuristic setting, which will also have several different playable characters. It doesn't sound like another Alien game, though, because the listing claims the unannounced project will be an original IP. Ever since Alien Isolation came out in 2014, Creative Assembly has been making more strategic Total War games, as well as co-developing Halo Wars 2. So Alien Isolation fans are eager to see them return to the genre. I would not be surprised if this is a stealth Alien game, but they don't want to announce that. They don't want to put that into the listing because people like me are going to be speculating and putting YouTube videos out there and try to spoil the surprise for lots of people out there. But Fox is still hard at, well, it's Disney now. It's crazy. It's all Disney now. Are we Disney? Blake, are we Disney? No, we're not Disney yet. Okay. They are working on new Alien stuff. They always are. Ridley Scott is always working on Alien stuff. He's just like, I've got to get it out of me. He's always writing the scripts. I won't be disappointed if it's not an Alien project. I wouldn't be disappointed if we don't see any more Alien projects, to be honest. But I did like Alien Isolation quite a bit, and I love the Creative Assembly. I think they're an incredible company, so I'm excited. Whatever they got for us, I'm there. I'm super pumped for that. All right, another game maker wants to sell you yet another tiny retro console. I was actually thinking about this. Well, I'll talk about it in a second. Konami has announced the full lineup of games coming to their TurboGrafx 16 Mini. Along with already announced classics like R-Type and Ys Books 1 and 2, the system will also come with Bomberman 93, Chu Man Fu, and Soldier Blade for a total of 50 games spanning both the Japanese and international versions of the system. Known as the PC Engine in Japan, the TurboGrafx 16 was first released in 1987 by Hudson Soft, a company that was bought by Konami a few years ago. The TurboGrafx 16 isn't as well known as the NES or Sega Genesis, so it remains to be seen if the mini version will be a success. It lands March 19th, 2020, and I'm fired up for this. I never had a TurboGrafx when they came out originally. I had the NES and the SNES and everything since then, but I never got the TurboGrafx machine until I picked up one of the Expresses, the Mini, so I could play Bonks, and that was the only game I ever had. So I am fired up about this. I know that there's some duplicated games in that list of 50. Some of them are the North American release and some are the Japanese release, but it's the same game, so it's a bit confusing. But I was thinking about, in addition to this market of these tiny retro machines, there needs to be like a tiny, like a component rack. Like we have our game systems and consoles and different disc players in little racks. There should be one for tiny little machines like that, because we have like 6 or 7 of these things now. I am going to get one of these, though. I honestly, I can't wait, especially when I look at my pal Johnny Millennium on Happy Console Gamer to see that huge beaming smile of his when news like this gets released. So I'm fired up to check out some of these games. All right, you guys, that's our rundown for today. Let's take a look at this day in Everything Cool. Welcome to This Day and Everything Cool for July 12th. On this day in 1990, one of the biggest and longest-running game franchises of all time fought its first battle. The very first Final Fantasy game was released on the NES in North America. Developed by Japanese company Square, the gameplay was actually inspired by Western RPGs like Ultima, with players and their squad traversing a large fantasy world and getting into turn-based battles with enemies. The battle mechanics were much more in-depth than most RPGs, though, with different spells and powers having different effects on different kinds of enemies, but despite the intricacies, the game was still accessible and easy to play for newcomers. As such, Final Fantasy became a huge hit, helping to popularize the turn-based RPG genre and making it mainstream. The success actually came as a surprise for Square, because previous projects from the studio had sold poorly. They were on the brink of bankruptcy and expected Final Fantasy to be their final game, hence the title. When it became a hit, it saved the company, and they went on to create countless sequels and spin-offs. All right, I am joined by Egg in a Bag. This is a new development studio. Congratulations, guys. Made up of VFS game design graduates. This is Elijah. This is Tyler, and this is Nathan.
Yeah.
How are you guys doing?
Great. Thanks for having us.
Of course, man. The last time I saw these guys was actually on stage at the Pitch and Play event that I host, thank you, Blake, from time to time, where we talk about all of the student projects that you guys are working on. Elijah, take us into the process that you guys have when you take that one-year program with the school. How much time did you have to get F.R.O.G up and running?
Yeah, so it starts during term 4. We do a year-long program at VFS.
Yep.
And we spend about a month and a half to 2 months doing pre-production, where we plan everything out. We kind of come up with our concept for our game. We decide if it wants to be a F.R.O.G or not, which we ended up going with. And then we spend about 3 months, 3.5 months actually making the game, getting hands-on in the engine, having our artists make our art assets, having our designers work on the levels, and overall just starting the game.
That's awesome. So you get basically around 3 or 4 months to have a living project.
Yeah, it's a pretty condensed for standard video game industry, but
Yes.
I mean it is a student project, so it's definitely a challenge to try to get as much as we can in there. But we were willing to take on that challenge, and we made F.R.O.G.
That's awesome. I want to show the game in action, so why don't you take us in, all right? And just play, and then you can tell us about some things that pop up. But Nathan, how big was the team that put F.R.O.G together, and has it grown since you guys have left school?
Right off the bat, we were a team of 5.
Yep.
And we did it. We put the team together as like friends, not really like trying to make just a super overpowered team. We're all just friends. We want to make a game because we hear our teachers tell us that games, a lot of projects go south because like people just can't decide and they can't agree on anything.
Yeah.
So we wanted to stay as friends the entire way through. In terms of team size, we're 4 now. Our artist has moved on to bigger and better things.
So you were 5, but you've shrunk.
Yes. Yeah,
and now you're a pro team, but you're smaller.
Yeah.
But you guys also now have a lot of experience and a lot of education. And one thing that I definitely want to say here is that I've seen a lot of school projects, and I don't mean to put any of the other projects in a negative light at all, because they're all incredible. But this was the farthest along, something that, and I told all of you guys this felt like something close to an early alpha, or something that was getting us to the point where we could see this as a finished product and get out there and play it. And it even in that short amount of time, I think you guys also had a lot of good luck happen as you put this together.
Oh
yeah.
No, there was definitely time periods where we were confused on what we were going to do, and we kind of just threw things into the game because people asked for it, and it worked.
Yeah.
And so we took that approach and we continued it throughout production, and that's why we got a game full of items and tools to play with, because everyone was requesting new items. So why not throw it in the game for them?
That's awesome. Nathan, how do you describe F.R.O.G?
Do you want the high concept? I can give you
Yeah, I want you to describe it.
Okay, F.R.O.G is a 3D, third-person, physics-based challenge sandbox game. You play as Todd Pole, and you complete challenges in a sandbox environment.
Okay, and that's what it is for sure. When I played it, it was like playing a Tony Hawk game made by Rare for the Nintendo 64. Right? And that was like, it was a perfect kind of blending of everything. Yeah. You guys heard that not just from me, though. You heard it from a lot of other people, clearly.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of positive feedback on Industry Night, which was kind of a shock because, again, we were throwing a lot of stuff into it pretty late.
Yep.
But to have all that positive feedback was really encouraging, because then obviously we were making the right choices in terms of game design. Things as like the pop can, as you're seeing, you go flying far with that. And it was something that we threw in on a whim, but people loved it, and it became a fun thing that you can actually do as a challenge now.
That's awesome. And so what we're seeing right here, you could conceive as some kind of a big hub world or a big overworld.
Yeah.
But you've also made it like a challenge-based level, which evokes a Tony Hawk type of experience, right?
Yeah. We threw a bunch of challenges inside this level because we didn't want to have a guided experience, because we didn't want to restrict the players from doing something.
Yeah.
If they saw a toy they could go play with, we wanted them to go play with that toy. And that would be the future goal with this game, is to create more levels where it's not so cut and clear.
Konami's so pissed off right now.
Yeah, so making more levels with different themes and having challenges based on those themes is definitely our next step towards for this game.
That's very cool. So you have next steps for this game. You didn't just make cool T-shirts and this this demo that's improved since we saw it at school.
Yep.
You guys have hit Kickstarter.
Yes.
And I guess you guys have started to talk to different distribution platforms. Are you starting to think of how the progression of the game is going to go now?
We definitely have talked about where we want to distribute this game.
Yeah.
I think our ultimate goal and the easiest for us as a new developer is to release it on Steam.
Yeah.
Or itch.io.
Yeah.
Those are pretty easy to put a game on and have people download and play.
Right.
The ultimate goal would be to get this character onto consoles, because it's such a lovable character that I think any age can pick up and play.
Yeah.
It's not restricted to 18 years old, and it's not restricted to 2-year-olds. It's for anybody to play at any time. And that was one of our major goals for this game.
It's crazy, man. It doesn't just put a smile on your face when you're looking at this. It's so clever. Now, Nathan, you guys worked with Unity, the operating system.
Yeah.
When isn't the engine?
Yeah.
The engine system. I'm not a game maker. I just talk to people that make games. But you work with Unity, and have they reached out to you, or have they talked to you? Have they seen your progress? So they know that you're in Kickstarter?
Yes, I believe Elijah brought it to the table. I think it was during our after school that we're top student game from Unity.
Really?
Well, we're being considered for it, and we have their attention kind of. They've noticed it, they're interested in it, and obviously we can submit it to some awards, like student award ceremonies, and hopefully that can rocket us up there and get even more buzz and more attention on it. So it's not 100% guarantee that we're best student game, but it's something that we've heard from rumors that it might be buzzing around up there. So it's definitely exciting.
That is amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
What, with a 4-person team, and you guys have a great beginning of F.R.O.G, but obviously you want to make it a bigger. You had 4 months, so you wanted to make it bigger before you go out and hit the marketplace with it. How do you divvy up the work? What are you each working on?
So I'm project manager. I'm mainly in charge of divvying out tasks as well as going in the game and maybe seeing what's wrong and what should be fixed. So almost like quality control, but we all do quality control.
Sure.
I think everyone should when you're making a game.
Right.
So I'm kind of in charge for making sure that tasks are getting done on time. I'm also quite often in charge of talking with distributors or other people, coming in contact with you, obviously, to come on here.
Yep.
So things like that to kind of get word of mouth around about our game.
Awesome. Tyler, what are you working on?
Sorry, there's a little noise in the background of our game. I think our rumble's going crazy.
Do you want to restart it? Let's restart it.
You can respond it from there. There you go. That should fix it.
We're early. It's not finished.
Oh, there you go.
So what are you working on?
For the game right now, I'm actually trying to
Lean in a bit so we can.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to learn a bit more about art, as we have lost our artists, of course. So we're trying to wear a lot more hats.
Yep.
And of course, I'm still.
This
part of
sounds
the
just
design
like
team.
school.
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah.
That's the way it works, because when these guys start the program, none of them really know what they're going to do. They kind of decide on the go and end up taking tasks and jobs that they've never done before.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's total trial by fire, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So now you're going to be an artist.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll see how that goes.
That's amazing. And what are you working on, Nathan?
So I was one of 2 level designers, and I was also the main set dresser. And set dresser, I think, is probably very important in games, because I think without it, the environment loses a lot of its feeling and character, even.
For sure.
Because the environment sets the entire mood for the game.
Yeah, and when you've got a single character type of experience like this, or a Tony Hawk or whatever, the environment is the other character.
Yeah, 100%.
It's what's coming at you and what you fall in love with ultimately, right? Have you guys thought about going to early access with the game? Is that something that you're thinking of possibly doing?
It's definitely something we've talked about, and itch.io is really good for that, because
Yep.
you can just upload the game and have people download it even for free, or even help donate towards it.
Yep.
So we've talked about putting ourselves on itch.io. We've also, on one of our Kickstarter tiers, it's definitely, you can get beta access. So you'll get access to it early and get to help us by giving us suggestions of things we can put into the game, what needs to be fixed, because we are a small team. We can't get every single bug out by the 4 of us. We're never going to find them all.
Right.
So we need having play testers and early access testers is definitely important to us.
What is the current sort of spec? Like, how much game do you guys want to make? This is a game that you could just keep making levels and levels and forever. But how much do you guys want to do or do you want to reveal that?
Oh yeah, no. So
Yeah.
this is our one level right now, and it's obviously kind of got the 3 environments. You saw a little bit of the snow, a little bit of the playground, and some disaster with the avalanche, and even the sled here.
Yeah.
But we want to kind of separate it and give multiple levels with multiple themes. So we're aiming for maybe 5 or 6 levels that each have 10 plus challenges and revolving around a theme.
Cool.
So the snow level will become its own world with 10 unique snow challenges, and the disaster will become its own world with 10 unique disaster challenges.
Very cool. Now, Kickstarter is not an easy game, and I
No.
think you guys are recognizing that right
Yeah.
now. I've talked to lots of people that have tried it.
Yeah.
It becomes a whole other job. You got to be telling people about it all the time.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So if you're interested in backing these guys, it's Kickstarter, F.R.O.G,
Yeah.
a video game.
If you search F.R.O.G, you should be able to find
You
it.
should be able to. I don't think there's too many frogs on Kickstarter. But you're learning a lot as you go with this. Let's say the unfortunate happens and you're not able to hit the sort of financing sort of goals that you're looking for. Is that it, or are you guys kind of committed to this and you're going to finish it? And get it over?
It's definitely not it. You know,
Yeah.
like we're all so passionate about this game, and we actually really want this game to succeed. So even if we don't get funded on Kickstarter, there are many other steps we can take towards eventually getting this game out to the public.
That's awesome.
You know,
and that is the exact right decision, because you've made a massive first impression, and you saw it again with this group of people that hasn't even seen it right here.
Yeah.
I'm sure people in the chat are talking about it. Actually, if you've got any questions for the F.R.O.G guys, you guys go ahead and ask me. Put all caps in the chat. Hello, chat. It's great to have everybody here. And if anybody in the crowd has a question for these guys, definitely just put your hands up or whatever. Let us know. Where is the other guy right now?
So he actually got a job at another studio, and
Oh,
so he's
yeah?
working with them. He's obviously still expressed his interest in this game, but I
Yeah.
mean, he's working,
Yeah.
so that he needs the income, and I totally don't blame him for that. And he's
Yeah.
passionate about what he's doing too.
Are you guys doing that a little bit too? Are you looking for work at the same time as this is all coming
Yeah,
together?
absolutely, and
Yeah.
that was part of that backup plan. You know, even
Yeah.
if we can't make it with this, the goal would be that we have to go find income somewhere else
Yeah.
to sustain ourselves for this, right?
And that is the reality as well for game development,
Yep.
and that is also the reality for a lot of indie projects where people have jobs, maybe working for a AAA studio or some out-of-house art asset studio or something like that, and then they're also making an indie game on the side. But you guys forged some incredible friendships, clearly.
Oh yeah,
And
for life.
had you known each other? Some of you had, right?
Yeah, myself and Nathan, we've known each other since, oh gosh, like elementary school, I think. So we've like
Incredible.
grown up together basically, and it was kind of like, hey, let's go to game design school together, and sure, why not?
That's
so,
amazing. So you had F.R.O.G level designed by grade 2. Then, I mean, that's why the freaking Legos have it right
Yeah.
there, right? You're seeing a lot into your childhood right here, which is incredible. It has a little ukulele vibe. Good call, Matthew Winstone. Is that are these the homages that you're trying to create, or were they influences, or did it just sort of gel together on its own?
it's definitely all about that character we wanted to create that
Yeah.
everyone can love, like Mario or Ukulele or Sly Cooper.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why we came up with a frog named Todd Pole. He's
Yeah.
supposed to be that funny, cute character.
Yeah.
So
That's great. And I bet you have a whole bunch of other adventures with Todd Pole that are not this game.
I haven't thought about it,
In
but
your mind, you have a
In our mind,
side-scrolling
yeah.
Todd
sure,
Pole.
absolutely. Anything's possible in games.
He's a very well-versed special agent.
Blade Blur, what games inspired them while making F.R.O.G?
It was definitely the single character games like that, Mario and whatever, to make the character. But in terms of the mechanics, we looked heavily towards Portal. That game had one major mechanic, which is the portal gun, and it made a whole game from it. So we have one major mechanic being the tongue, and we made a whole game from it.
There you go. That's the way it's done. All right. Is the F.R.O.G to scale? This one's from from Matthew Winstone. Or is that Duplo?
I don't think
Lego getting all kinds of shout-outs today. Love you, Lego.
I'm not sure. I think it's about the same size as Red Eye Tree Frogs, but
Yeah, I think he's about 2 inches.
yeah, something like that.
That's awesome. Kelvin Horner says, this game looks amazing. I can't wait for it to be done. Is this a
That's
buddy
my
of your-
brother.
There you go.
Thanks, Kelvin. Love you.
That is also how it's done, as you will see with Steam reviews and Amazon. Rick Savage says F.R.O.G looks really cool. Be awesome to see
Thank
this
you.
on the PS4. Yes, my friend. I forgot your name. I'm sorry. Kane. Yes, great name.
What was it about the frog that made you decide to use that as the character?
Kane asks, what was it about the F.R.O.G that made you use that as the character?
Well, when we were designing concepts for our game, it was again going with an original character that we liked, but we couldn't pick one, so we thought of animals. And originally we were going to make a stealth game that had meerkats, frogs, and like a bunch of types of animals. But something about the tongue really stuck out with us. Whoops. It just really, we grasped onto it, and we really liked the idea of a tongue, and it worked best with the frog.
Awesome. What do the dots represent in F.R.O.G? This is a question from the Ren.
It stands for Fully Retractable Oral Gadget.
Oh, that sounds dirty. I can see the porn game. Oh, okay.
Oh, gosh.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Okay, I think this is amazing. If you guys are interested in supporting these guys, you know where to go. Search for Kickstarter and F.R.O.G, and you will find Egg in a Bag. Fantastic, you guys.
Thank you so much.
I really wish you all the very best. I want to play this finished game. I wanted
It'll
to
come.
the minute I saw
Make
it.
it.
I still do. Right now, I've got a review for you. It just came out today. It's Dragon Quest Builders 2. Man, I was up way too late playing Dragon Quest Builders 2 yesterday. This is an addictive experience. If you've been watching the channel for a while or know what kinds of games I freaking adore, then you know how much I loved Dragon Quest Builders 1. I played that on the Switch and on the PlayStation 4, and I was completely obsessed with it. And my daughter also became completely obsessed with it. It's basically a fusion of Minecraft with the Dragon Quest lore, which sounds like a crazy idea at first, but then you recognize the sheer brilliance of putting in decades of Dragon Quest bits, lots of little story bits and homages and wink, wink, nudge, nudge kind of moments into a game where you can actually build whatever the heck you want. Now, Dragon Quest Builders 2 obviously lifts on the formula, but there's a lot of great quality of life changes to the core experience, which I really appreciate. And I have to say that it was very smart for Square Enix to alter the framework a little bit this time, because what it does right out of the gate is it makes Dragon Quest Builders 1 and Dragon Quest Builders 2 a terrific bookend set, hopefully this is a series that continues on because I love it, but spoiler alert. But I think it's awesome that the games don't play the same. It's not like they scrubbed everything and you just are redoing it again, There's enough changes in Dragon Quest Builders 2 that it feels fresh, but it still retains that ability to craft and create and finesse and basically customize all of the buildings that you make, the outfits that you put on, the meals that you make for your townsfolk. You play a character who is trapped on a boat at the beginning of the game, and you get shipwrecked on an island called the Island of Awakening, and you encounter this buddy named Malroth, who Dragon Quest fans, and I have to admit, I don't see the reference there, but apparently there is some big sort of connection to Dragon Quest lore. Johnny Millennium was probably going, yeah, at home when he saw that. But Malroth is a compatriot that follows you along and helps you in every battle, which is really cool. And that's one of the quality of life improvements or changes, alterations in Dragon Quest Builders 2 that you recognize right away, is that you have some help this time. Not just from Malroth, but also from the villagers that you recruit into what starts out as this farm on this island initially, and slowly but surely you learn the ability to, have some agriculture and grow some vegetables and feed your people and cook your meals, and then you're sent out on a bunch of quests to basically grow your farm into a town, into a kingdom on this island. And of course you've got to battle some bad guys, you've got to complete some objectives, you got to bring a tree to life. You have to find a dog, another great quality of life improvement here. And what you're doing is you're recruiting people to come and not just be sort of sitting there waiting for all of the things that you're going to do for them, but you get villagers in and they help you build things. They help you till the soil and harvest the crops and cook the food, and they ask for things like bathrooms and kitchens, and they need to go to the bathroom every once in a while, and they need you to go out and collect more seeds and finish these different objectives in order to satisfy their needs. You get caught up on this, a bunch of different objectives. You get this checklist of all these different things that you got to keep going out into the world to do and accomplish. And of course, as you do that, your reputation increases, the circumference of the world that you're going to explore increases, and you just become a more powerful central figure in this story. But it's a story of you and the other citizens, the other people that you're bringing along with you. And I appreciated that, because I felt in Dragon Quest Builders 1, it's like, what are you all standing around for? explore, man. I need some help here. It's taking me forever to go and dig the rocks and come back and build a house. This time it feels like you've got some things to speed you along. And one of the great things that they've done this time is giving you a fast travel system, because it can be a drag, you know? You've completed an objective, you've got the loot, you want to get back to the farm, you can just automatically warp there in a cool sort of retro-styled way where you can click on the map and then poof, and then you sort of shoot up into the air and then bam, you're back at home base, which is cool. And eventually what happens is that your kingdom gets bigger and bigger, and you actually get to go off and explore other islands, and your influence just gets larger, and your world view gets larger. It's a remarkable, addictive experience. It's absolutely charming. They've also added multiplayer into this game. I haven't played any yet. We're still sort of playing our way through this massive game, and that's the other thing, is these games are enormous, and they will keep you busy for weeks and weeks and months and years, forever. Because you can just keep building. I was really impressed with the writing in the game. Everybody's got cute things to say. I love the fact that you're fighting this group called the Children of Hargon, and you meet them and they're like, we don't want you to build. The building is evil and stuff. And then half the time they're just joining up and needing you to build, or they get addicted to building or whatever. So there's this tongue-in-cheek kind of quality all the way through it. Sometimes you're dealing with some weird, I don't know, they're supposed to be accents or something like that. Some of the scripting's a bit weird, but when you're reading it out loud, I was reading it out loud to my kid and having some fun with that. There's a story there, you know, and it's a story filled with interesting characters that maybe, you know, tell you exactly what they need a little too much and paint out exactly what you got to do. And that is my tip of the day here for you, is that sometimes you will be a little stuck. It's like, what do I got to get now? Where do I got to go? Just talk to your people. Just go up and talk to them. Sometimes you're going to see a lot of the same speech bubbles pop up over and over again, and you got to find the right person to talk to, but you will eventually be led to the right destination to collect the thing that you need to build the thing that will let you go to the next thing. You know what I'm saying? The artwork it's a perfect blend of the blocky, chunky stuff that we saw in Minecraft, but textured like cartoons with cartoony characters. There's some darkness in the game, as there always is in the Dragon Quest series. Like when your ship is wrecked on the island, you encounter corpses on the island that are just sort of floating in the water, and you walk up to them and they're dead, and then they disappear. And it's like, wow, this is pretty deep for a something that looks so, you know, kid-friendly. And it is still kid-friendly, but there is also depth, you know, and there are lots of great little details. And again, lots of winks and lots of homages to the Dragon Quest lore. And that's what I find so brilliant here, is that there is a tremendous amount of value no matter how you approach this. You can choose to ignore a lot of the objectives and just go off and build. And that was one of the things that my daughter was kind of mentioning, because in the first game it felt like there was a lot more free-form, just go off and build whatever you want, and there was less hand-holdy stuff and less sort of guiding you to objectives, so it felt like you were doing a lot of just constructing for constructing's sake. That was great, but it also felt a little like, is this what I'm supposed to do now? Am I just gonna keep building new walls around everything? Is that what I do? And in this one, you feel like time is ticking and somebody's waiting on something and you gotta go and do that. So my kid just wanted to change outfits and build things and stuff. And so she was kind of, I think, fondly remembering her experiences with the first Dragon Quest builders. But you don't have to skip that one. That's what's great about this. That's what I love, is that it doesn't just wipe the slate clean and say, this is the definitive Dragon Quest Builders game. You can still love Dragon Quest Builders 1, and you can love and appreciate Dragon Quest Builders 2. I love the cleverness, and I love this fusion of design and this connection to RPGs that have persisted for so long and have entertained so many people. And yes, liberally borrowing some fantastic ideas that the Minecraft team put together. It looked like a cash-in when Dragon Quest Builders 1 was sort of barreling towards us. And now I can see that these are seminal, incredible, can't miss entertainments. Both the first one and now the second one, which I love just as much. This is incredible. I haven't played it on the Switch. I've only played it on the PlayStation 4, and it runs great, and it's, you know, going to be out there for other machines too, but I definitely want to check it out on the Switch. It feels like the Switch, because you can, you know, cart it with you and keep tinkering, and it seems like that's a perfect fit for it. So I definitely want to check it there, and I'll report back on my thoughts on the Switch version. But Dragon Quest Builders 2, phenomenal game. 9.5 out of 10. We're back, and hopefully the audio is sounding okay. Sometimes we get the HDMI hiccups because we have a lot of cameras and mics all plugged in through HDMI. Anyways, enough about that. Earlier today, I saw a matinee screening of a movie called Crawl, which probably nobody has heard of, because it's very stealthily being marketed right now. But this is one of those monster type movies, those survive the monster type movies that is, kind of like Jaws or Piranha or Tremors. Good one there, Josue. I like that. This one stars giant alligators, and it's directed by the guy that actually did Piranha 3D, Alexandre Aja, which is a nice name. But it stars one of my favorite actors out there, Barry Pepper, who is a local boy. He's actually from the BC area. And I remember back when he was in Saving Private Ryan and he was on screen as the sniper, I was like, who is that dude? He's cool. And then you find out that he's Canadian. And I don't know if you guys know this about Canadians. When we find out that someone's from Canada, we're like, yeah, Canada! We're really happy about that. But anyways, I love Barry Pepper. And he plays the father of this swimmer played by Kaya Scodelario. I knew I was not going to remember that name. And Kaya Scodelario is pretty damn kick-ass in this. She is a competitive swimmer, and her father in some flashback sequences is really egging her on. He's got this catchphrase, "You're an apex predator," which is also a little foreshadowing. But she's really driven and she's really focused and she's wonderful to watch in action as a swimmer. But then she takes those skills as she tries to swim away from the alligators that are really having the time of their lives during this hurricane in South Florida there. And it's tragic that we're talking about this movie and it's being released as hurricanes are hitting the coastlines in America. And my heart goes out to everybody that might be being affected by horrific weather out there, but this movie was fun. It was hella fun, and it was kind of crazy because it was like super dramatic moment and super impossible thing to escape stacked onto another super impossible thing to escape, and so on and so on. People get bitten and somehow survive, and they're tying limbs up and bleeding and trying to swim, and there are some really gory alligator attacks, which is what you pays your money for with this movie, so it delivers on that front. But for the most part, it's really a two-hander with this father and daughter combo. And they've got to deliver some pretty dramatic, backstory and some exposition. Really, they got to sort of flesh out the narrative as all hell is breaking loose. And Barry Pepper, he looks like total shit all the way through this movie. His hair is just always wet, and he's bleeding, and he's just beat up, and he just looks devastated. He never has like a glamour shot for the whole flick. And so when you're watching, it's like, good on you, dude. You look like hell, but you survived this movie. And that was what was cool, is like you really feel like you went on this very drenched, wet adventure. The effects of the hurricane were all pretty damn solid as well. It looked like they built this really cool interior set. I'm just speculating here. I don't know exactly how they made it, but it looked like it was an interior set that they could light and weather effect any way that they wanted to. So obviously big waves come rushing in and water's pelting everything, and buildings start flooding, and it was just really effective. And then when they added all the plate shots and all the VFX work of storm clouds and lightning strikes and all that, it was cool. I was impressed by this movie. I think it was artfully done. It's cheesy, but you know that. It's going to be alligator attacks. That's what you want to go and see, right? You want to see the people try to not get bitten by the alligators much, but maybe some biting does go on. I was impressed. I was impressed, and I had an inkling that I was going to enjoy Crawl. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. All right, it's time to move on to a buried treasure. Now that we know that there's going to be a couple of cool Mickey Mouse games on that little mini Sega Genesis that Sega is releasing later this year, I thought it'd be a pretty cool thing to talk about a buried treasure that stars Mickey Mouse. This one's called Mickey Mania, The Timeless Adventures of Mickey Mouse, and it was developed by Traveler's Tales. Yes, the same TT Games that later went on to make all of these awesome Lego titles for us. This was a platformer that starred Mickey, but what was cool about this game is that he travels through different eras of Mickey Mouse Mouse cartoons, and it starts with Steamboat Willie, and then he's in Moose Hunters, he's in The Mad Doctor, all the way up to The Prince and the Pauper, one of the later Mickey Mouse stories. And there are all these cool kinds of scenarios that you can play gameplay-wise that take advantage of the animation styles of these different eras, and it's really cool. What's interesting is that this game not only came out for the Genesis, but there's a Super Nintendo version of it, there's a Sega CD version of it, and it was later ported to the PlayStation because I think it was Sony ImageSoft who was the publisher of this game, and Traveler's Tales. They knew they had something special with this title. The visuals are fantastic. It runs a little bit better on the Genesis than it does on the Super Nintendo, so if you're a discerning retro gamer, I would choose the Genesis version. There's also a little extra content on the Genesis version of the game. I would imagine the Sega CD game would be a little bit more difficult to find, and I don't even know if I have the PlayStation copy of this game, which would be weird. I've got a pretty robust PlayStation collection, but I don't remember ever receiving this as a PlayStation game. It is a terrific game, and if you've never played it and you happen to be a fan of the mouse, and who isn't, I think you're going to dig Mickey Mania, The Timeless Adventures of Mickey Mouse. It is absolutely a great buried treasure. All right, my friend Kane is joining us now for a little Let's Play and Chat. How are you doing?
Good.
Look at you wearing the EPN hoodie, man. This is awesome.
Christmas.
That is so cool. Where are you from, Kane?
I'm from Regina.
From Regina. Awesome. Welcome to Vancouver. Welcome to the VFS Cafe. And welcome. Oh, checking out my games. Have you never played a Switch before?
I haven't used that controller.
There. Oh, can you move a little closer?
Yep.
Come on in over here. There you go. Oh, yeah, right, because we're doing the picture-in-picture window. There you go. Yeah, I had you set up in the interview slot. There you go. We do a lot of on-the-fly transitional things here, as you've come to know when you've come to live tapings, live recordings of EP Live. This is Pedro. What is it? My brother Pedro? I forget the name. My Friend Pedro, yeah. And this is an incredible game. It's like a 2D Max Payne. So there's bullet time and there's all kinds of crazy effects and stuff like that. Just jump around. You're right at the very beginning of the game, so it's going to teach you. So just try to play, and then if you've got any questions about the game or comments or stuff that you want to talk about, you go ahead. And that applies to everybody here, and that also applies to everybody in the chat. And I've got a first one here from the Ren saying, Vic, what would I rate Piranha 3D? That's going back into memory banks. I think I had a smile on my face for that movie. It was so over the top and crazy. I think it was like a 7.5. You know, I think it was an enjoyable film. I mean, you know what it's going to be, right? This might be the first time I ever seen someone put photos in a buried treasure on Vic's camera footage. What was that? There were photos in a buried treasure? Yeah.
He didn't say what the titles were, so we put them on screen.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, cool. That was Blade Blur commenting on that. The SNES version actually has to load. That's right, of the Mickey Mouse title. That is an amazing game, that Mickey Mania game. Have you ever played that? It's going way back. It's older than you are, actually. I look at Kane. What are you, 23?
22.
22 years old. Yeah, game's older than. That's amazing. Next summer, Crawl 2 Armored Aggressor. Yes. I like the sound of that. So they put armor on the alligators, makes it much harder. Jordan Cunningham says hello to everybody. Love on-the-fly transitions. Get to see some production views. Thank you, Robert Xavier. Yeah, this has been an on-the-fly production today. I think we're changing our production name to On-the-Fly Productions. Yay, HDMI, so annoying. Even messes with my gaming setup at times. Much prefer DisplayPort if only consoles used it. This is Matthew Winstone. Yeah, there's something going on with the audio here. Oh, no, it's the gun. That's right, there's guns in this. Warko, what you got?
What do you think about the summer blockbuster lineup this year?
Yeah, I mean, Spider-Man, Warko asks, what about the summer blockbuster lineup? You know what it is I think everybody kind of moved away from the Disney releases, and Disney's been a little bit disappointing with the live-action remakes, not financially, but I think what's happening is that people gave them a wide berth because everybody anticipated these things were going to be the biggest movies of the year, and so things got pushed around. People hate Dark Phoenix. I didn't hate Dark Phoenix. Johnny and I both came out of that and gave it pretty positive reviews. But that was the biggest bomb in a long time. That was just a tragic, and Men in Black, and that was people hated that too, and that was just okay. I don't think it was it wasn't a 4 out of 10, and people just trash that. And I think what we're seeing is that the critics, when you amalgamate them all and you put them into the that Rotten Tomatoes score, I think it's having a lot of pull. And I think that if enough critics just hate something, like they did with Dark Phoenix and like they did with Men in Black, they're just not going to show up. You got one? Yeah. No, I think the only thing that would, I think Disney, it's David, right? David's asking about the Lion King Rotten Tomatoes score, which can't be that high from the critics. I've been reading some and watching some. I haven't seen an early screening. Disney didn't bring an early screening of The Lion King to Vancouver, unfortunately, but I'll check it out next week. But I mean, when I saw the trailers, it sure looked like there's not any emotion on the faces of these animals. They look like photoreal animals, and they're supposed to be singing, and it's like, they don't look like they're into it, They're just sort of like a regular lion just singing. It's weird. Critics have been saying that, but I think Disney knows that people just want that same movie again. I think what it is, entertainment. The connoisseurs, the people out there that care enough to watch our show and dive deep and start to understand the inner workings and the mechanics of stuff. There's a little bit more critical thinking, I think, going on there than the mass audience who just wants to go and escape, and they want to take their family to something safe and something that they can all just put on a smile and have a good time. I think that sort of describes explains the success of Aladdin, which I think was, for me, a very underwhelming film, and for a lot of critics. It was a divisive movie, but I think a lot of people were just placated by the fact that it was a recreation of what they knew, and I think that's what they're going to get out of The Lion King. Dumbo didn't work, and for two reasons. I think it was weird and longer, and Tim Burton's kind of attempt to craft something with a little more soul than the old animated movie had. And it was also a sad thing that was made many, many years ago, and it was never that big of a success. But Lion King and Aladdin are massive. I think the Mulan trailer looks like it's going to be pretty cool, and that one seems to make a lot more sense to me as a live-action project. But I think Lion King's going to be huge. I think it's going to make tons of money, and honestly, I think that is a huge reason why we've seen less other studios say this is our summer. We still have that Hobbs and Shaw movie, which just looks insane and ridiculous. The movie I'm most excited for, though, this summer is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Quentin Tarantino movie. That I don't know how big financially that's going to be, but it looks incredible. I can't wait for that. But go see Crawl. Go see Crawl. Yeah.
What do you think of the announcement of the Cuphead Netflix show?
I think the Cuphead show was going to be phenomenal. I'm super psyched, man, especially if they keep that 1930s animation style.
That'll be unique to see.
I can't wait. Yeah, go see Crawl. Comment, the game is older than you are, 25 years old. Forever, Vic. Thanks, Taz. You're always in my corner. Taz is asking, will you be doing more stream TV reviews before the game Valanche? Yes, I will. I'm going to compile a little list of all of the shows that I want to recap and do some reviews on. I think I want to talk a little bit about The Expanse, because nobody watches that. Everybody should be watching that. And there'll be a couple of other ones in there for sure. So yeah, stay tuned for more of those kinds of shows. But you know what? We've got some big games coming, like Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 and the Fire Emblem game, which is coming up pretty soon. So I've still got some collections, some classic game collections that I want to talk about too. So we're going to be busy. The Expanse is amazing, Miss Hojat says. Absolutely. Matthew Winstone's got a question. I don't get why Disney is rushing to recreate great movies as worse copies so quickly. Any thoughts? I think that's all, from a specific point of view, I think, because a lot of, I agree with you, and a lot of us that grew up with those Disney movies just think it's kind of sacrilegious to go back and even touch any of that incredible work. I mean, my biggest problem with Aladdin was that they made the genie blue, and that blue genie is synonymous with Robin Williams, and they could have done anything to recreate this genie in any kind of sort of style they wanted to make it expressly what's his name? Will Smith's genie, but they didn't. So he was trying to be like an emulation of some of the stuff that Robin Williams did, and it just makes you think of the work that Robin Williams did, and it was kind of undermining that and undermining what Will Smith could have brought to the table, And I feel the same way with the CG work that's going to be done on Lion King. I mean, it's incredible work, but it's kind of going to undermine the, I think, even more superlative work, the hand-drawn work that was done initially and originally. Yeah. 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 I know. And that's it's a great comment. What's your name? Shantara says a lot of people were putting up negative comments, somewhat like we're seeing the negative comments around the Sonic the Hedgehog rendering. It's amazing, right? Like, social media has a lot of pull on this stuff, and now with computer visuals, we can adapt these things up until we make the like 2 weeks before they deliver the movie. But people were complaining that Will Smith wasn't blue in the early trailers, and a lot of people just want what they know. And honestly, I think more people want what they know than people want to be challenged with something new. And Disney knows that. They make a lot of money knowing that, actually. They know exactly what to give you when you walk into Disneyland. Exactly. They don't give you more than, well, they do in the full entertainment experience. But, for example, the souvenirs that you can pick up at Disneyland, they're not extravagant pieces of art, They're not amazing. They're inexpensively produced plastic items that may not last a whole year, But they serve the needs of the park and of Disney corporate, and they know that they can sell a lot of those, and they do. So that's kind of the way that they manage some of the movies. So it's remarkable when we have successes like, the Avengers Endgame or Rogue One. And also like Frozen, and there's tons of incredible work comes out of Disney, and I don't mean to disparage or say that they're just trying to cheap out on all of this stuff, but I think you have every right, like most of us that have been around watching these animated things, to feel a little bit weird about these live-action remakes, but I don't think they're going away anytime soon. In fact, I think they're probably working on the animated remakes of the live-action remakes right now, and then they've got the live-action remakes of those animated remakes sort of in the pipeline for another 20 years from now. I'm waiting for Star Wars animated. We'll start with the episode 4 and go. They already do that. Yes, Blake. Yes, burn. All right, we got a couple other questions in here. Have you backed the Earthworm Jim comic on Indiegogo from Geek Hero of Comics and Consoles? I haven't, and I haven't really talked about Kickstarter and Indiegogo and stuff. I feel a little wary of doing that. I have a platform to talk about all kinds of stuff and to interview people, and I have backed things in the past, and I was pretty upfront about it. I backed Ouya, but Ouya pissed off a lot of people, and we had the founder of Ouya on here, and I thought the project was so cool, and I was so behind it. But then I saw a lot of Kickstarter projects were pissing people off and burning people, and so I don't mind giving some promotion to things, but I feel a bit weird putting money in and then also promotion. So for sure we would report on the work that Doug TenNapel is going to do on Earthworm Jim, the comic series, and I can't wait for Earthworm Jim 3, but I feel a bit weird, and even push people to Indiegogo pages and Kickstarter, but I feel weird personally using this platform and also doing the Kickstarter thing, And also I feel burned like everybody else out there. I've put money into things that didn't happen the way I wanted them to, and it's kind of a drag. Now, that being said, I also really applaud anybody that does do that and reaches out and is upfront and honest and says we need the support to be able to fulfill the dream, and lots of good things have come together because of that. So I think what I'm doing right now is I'm taking the safe position of talking about cool things, but not putting my money into it. Is that cool? Is that cool? Yeah? Yeah? All right. Okay. Did Ryan Reynolds produce My Friend Pedro? I don't think so, but it sure looks like Deadpool in a yellow suit, huh? Yeah, it's awesome. What do you think?
It's pretty fun.
It's
I
pretty
like it,
cool,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
For a long time.
Mucky Muck says, ooh yeah, false promises, dead dreams. There you go. That's a tagline you don't want on your Kickstarter. I back number 9. Here we go. Mucky. I backed Mighty number 9. I backed that too. Earthworm Jim 4. Oh, Earthworm Jim 4. 3 was in 3D. Yes, thank you. We don't really talk about that very much though. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah. You can still watch the originals. Bad remakes can be ignored. They only devalue future marketability. Yep. They're making lots of money, though. Dumbo's going to be the only one, I think, that doesn't do very well. Mondo Blast. It took me a minute to figure out, but the picture-in-picture is the live time, and the louder track is the echo. Ah, yes, yeah. If you hear echo in our stream ever, if anybody does, for whatever reason, whether you have a Skype call or whatever, it's because we're in a live space. You know, a lot of people still don't know, but we make the show in a live venue, the cafe at the Vancouver Film School, and we have speakers for who's ever attending, for these wonderful people here that are here live, and so sometimes we do pick a little bit of that up in the microphone. We do our best to try to balance that, and we will. Good question about the Disney remakes there, Matthew. I think that's the question of the day. Okay. What system did I get this game on? This game is, I think you're asking about this. Oh, Bloodstained. Bloodstained, I got it for the PlayStation 4 Pro. Oh, I think you're talking about Mighty Number 9. I think I backed it for PlayStation. I think so. I eventually got all the codes for all, so I don't know which one it was. Because I review them, right? So I can't always keep track of that. But this is the Switch. It's only on the Switch, My Friend Pedro, and it's terrific. Is it on PC now? Excellent game. I'm sure it's gonna go to everything. I think it was made by a tiny team. Might have been just one person, but this is another Devolver, amazing work of art.
That's fun.
It's so crazy, right?
Like
You're totally addicted. Yes, I know. That's
I'm
the
not
way this
talking
game.
much because I'm focusing on the game.
That's what you wanted to do. That's great, man.
As soon as I start talking, I die.
I got a hey Vic, thanks for all the great content over the years. So much quality in the boot. It's Canadian. Yay! Miss Ojat, did you ever play Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice? I did. I have to play it again. I know there's a VR component on the PlayStation VR. I did get stuck, and then something else came in, and I moved over, and I hate that I did that because I didn't get far enough in the game, so I have to go back to it. I'd love to see a VL's crowdfunding Rising Stars segment on EPN. Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Keep those good ideas coming. All right, you guys, I think that's going to do it for our day today. It's time to get this weekend started, yes? I'm working on a good guest for Monday. Hasn't confirmed yet, but some big games are coming up, so hopefully that person is coming, and we'll be talking about those. We will have a great EP live for you on Monday regardless, and we look forward to having you back. And there might be a couple things that pop up on our feed over the weekend, so keep your eyes peeled. If you like our stuff, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that like button, and you got to hit a bell, I think. You got to ding a bell so something is notified. I think Warco gets all the notifications. He's the only one. And if you feel like joining up and becoming a member, please do. And we've also got all that the fun EPN swag, the merch that you can pick up on our website, epn.tv/merch. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have yourselves a fantastic weekend and play forever.